What's going on, everybody? This is Primetime James Thomas of the Primetime Movie Network coming at you with another video on this lovely Sunday evening, October 22nd, 2023. Hopefully, everybody is having themselves a great finish to the weekend and, of course, having themselves an awesome October. We are in Halloween season, the best time of the year. And I just want to thank each and every one of y'all that's been supporting the channel. The channel keeps on growing day by day. Greatly appreciate it. And don't make it stop now. Please hit that like and subscribe button as we speak. And don't forget to share the video as well. And this video in particular is a very special one because now it has officially been 5 years this month. On October 18th, 2018, was when David Gordon Green's Blumhouse Productions Halloween 2018 was released to the masses. And man, oh man, and what a ride. What an absolute ride it was, and it has been since this film. Now, for those that followed me on the Primetime Podcast channel, before it became a strictly wrestling channel, I was trying to play with it and try to do different arrangements of videos. I was talking about wrestling, but also, movies and TV shows and all that stuff. And around 2014, 15 is when I did the Halloween movie reviews, with my good friend Arlo. The very first live stream, one of the very first live streams I've ever did, was the Halloween 5 movie review, where, funny enough, because me and Arlo expressed that he was a fan of the Halloween films, and that's what kind of made us friends. And one night I was watching Halloween 5. I was just really irritated, really irritated watching this film. So I said, I gotta go live and express my feelings on why this movie sucks. And I asked Arlo if he wanted to come along with me. He said, yeah, sure. And that's what kind of started me and Arlo doing Halloween movie reviews, where we reviewed every single Halloween film. And then, and then I kind of became the Halloween horror guy, not only on the Primetime Podcast, but on the Blitz Sports Network channel. Shout out to Bruce Blitz, where I kind of became the Michael Myers Halloween guy. And that wasn't necessarily my intention, honestly. It's just something that kind of just happened, because I grew up on the Halloween films ever since I was a little kid, and I'm very, very passionate about the franchise. I think Halloween 1978 is my favorite horror film of all time. Michael Myers is my favorite horror movie villain of all time. I just think the character of Michael Myers is so intriguing, so interesting, and a little bit more complex than the Freddy Kruegers, than the Jason Voorhees. He's definitely most interesting because he doesn't have a clear-cut motive on why he does the things that he does. He just does it out of just instinct. And even to this very day, 45 years later, people are still trying to figure out what makes Michael tick. And of course, when they try to give us answers, it never really works. Some works more than others. You have the family element, which could make sense. Then they really try to go all the way different with it, with the cult thing, and we all know how that ended up. But yeah, I kind of became the Halloween horror guy, and of course that's when I met my primetime gorehound, panel mate, Paul. He's a big Halloween fan as horror as well, and that's how we kind of connected. And it's kind of like how I connected with a lot of good people in the Blitz Sports Network community that rocked with me was because of my love of horror and because of my love of the Halloween franchise. And then around 2014, 2015, I was kind of in a very strange place with the Halloween franchise, largely because of I was still very much bitter towards the franchise, mainly because of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Um, I thought the movie was terrible. I thought it was terrible. I thought the concept was terrible. I thought everything about the movie I thought sucked, and I still kind of feel that way today. And it kind of got to a point where I famously said, if it comes down to I never have to watch a Halloween film, I will be happy. I will be happy about it because this franchise has been so up and down, and I just got tired of it. Now, things started changing around 2015, 16 ish. Now, I remember at the time, I thought the Halloween franchise was at its lowest point where the rights were being sold, right? The rights were being sold. And keep in mind, we haven't had a Halloween film since 2009. It's 2009, 2015, six at this point. It's like a good 6, 7 years at this point. Like it's been a long time since we had a Halloween film. And the rights are being sold. And I'm just like, wow, like they're just selling this, and it's a dead product right now. No one's really asking for a Halloween film. Now, granted, we were supposed to have a third film to the Rob Zombie film, but that never got off the ground. It was called Halloween 3D, where Scout was going to come back and Tyler Mane was going to come back. It just never came through. And I read the script of what Halloween 3D was going to be. I'm glad it didn't happen. That was going to be dog shit too. And it just got to the point where I was just like, okay, it's dead. It's absolutely dead right now. There's no interest in it right now. But then Blumhouse, Jason Blum, bought the rights to the film. And Blumhouse at the time was like on fire. You know, we had the Insidious films and all that stuff. Like Blumhouse was the premier horror movie production company out there right now. So when they said when Halloween was bought by them, a lot of people were excited. A lot of people were excited for this because Blumhouse is known for their low budget, high reward productions, and that's when Halloween works at its best. What's completely low budget, low key, and people were happy about that. They were like, okay, they're going to a legit movie production studio. Cool. I still wasn't excited about it. I still was not excited about it. I was like, yeah, like whatever, and kind of to backtrack, like I said, there was always like little projects that was coming out. Like I said, you had the Halloween 3D thing. I think you had a script that was written called Halloween. It was called Halloween Returns, something like that. But there was talk that they were trying to get that movie off the ground. It didn't fall through, but they had a script that was done for that leaked out to the people. The Halloween Returns script about Michael Myers is going to be in death row, and then he escapes during his execution, and some place going to take place in Russellville, the city next to Haddonfield. It was an interesting script. I will say that. I will say that the script that I read in Halloween Returns script was better than fucking Halloween Ends, but that's never got off the ground. So Blumhouse buys the rights to Halloween. I'm still not excited for it. Then I hear that John Carpenter, in the summer of 2016, John Carpenter decides to latch on to the project. Then that's when my ears kind of perked up a little bit, because John Carpenter and the Halloween franchise is storied. Okay, John Carpenter, who felt for the longest time never got properly compensated for his works for the first Halloween. Didn't want Halloween to eventually become what it became. He wanted to be an anthology series. Like Michael Myers was not the be all end all for the Halloween franchise that it essentially became. So John Carpenter gets on board. Then Nick Castle, the OG Myers himself, comes on board. They had a press release. Now Nick Castle was only in the movie for 8 seconds, but they announced it that Nick Castle, the OG Michael Myers, is coming back. Then the biggest bomb was dropped that Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back to the franchise. And that, my friends, was when I was officially on board. Jamie Lee Curtis coming back to the franchise. Jamie Lee Curtis coming back to the franchise definitely raised the stakes for how people were going to view this next film. And it was on at that point. It was completely on at that point. Now they announce in the plot that this is strictly a direct sequel to the 78 film. Like, we're cutting off Halloween 2 through Resurrection. And a lot of people were kind of mixed about that decision, because they completely cut away from the Michael Myers, Laurie Strode connection, and that connection to their brother and sister. And that has been the narrative that most fans, casual or hardcore fans, have followed for decades, that this is the narrative, this is the story. Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are brother and sister. They're related. That's why he wants to kill her. That's been the narrative for a long time. So for Jason Blum, Danny McBride, David Green to make that decision to cut that connection was a bold choice. It was a very, very bold choice, and I commend them for that. And I kind of find it funny now how people kind of shit on that idea now of them being brother and sister, when everybody was just like, yeah, that's the way to go, like literally like 10 years ago. But yeah, I just find how people kind of switched on. They've switched on Halloween 2, and they've switched on Halloween H2O now. Like it's kind of it's just funny to me. It's just funny to me how people switched on it. Now this is coming from a guy whose favorite sequel, my favorite Halloween film, is Halloween 2. That's my favorite Halloween film. And at the time, I was kind of about it, but it made sense to the story because I knew this before John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis said it. I knew this at least about a good 10 years before it was actually became common knowledge. The Halloween, the 78 film, was supposed to be a one-off. Halloween 78 film was supposed to be it. Michael Myers and Laurie Strode they were never going to be related. It was just a random chick that Michael Myers just became infatuated with. And then he gets shot, he disappears. The overall message that you can't kill the boogeyman. The boogeyman is everywhere. He's anywhere. He can be anywhere and everywhere. That was the narrative. That was the story that John Carpenter. He wanted to tell just a simple ghost story. That's what Halloween 78 was supposed to be. It wasn't until later as when the Michael Myers and the narrative came what it became. So this is really going back to its roots. Like, you're really taking Michael into there's a million things you could do with Michael now. Well, Michael doesn't have to be tied down to just Laurie Strode. Like, you could take Michael to places he hasn't been to before. So I was intrigued with the idea of getting rid of the brother and sister connection. I was intrigued by it. Wasn't happy with it. Wasn't angry with it. But I was kind of like, I want to see where this goes. And I remember covering each bit of news that came out. Like everything that was released to the public, I reported on it. From The Mask, from John Carpenter deciding to do the soundtrack. Like I remember one of the first photos of Halloween 2018 that came out was it was like a shot. It was like a camera shot of a mirror, and it looked like a silhouette of Michael Myers was in the shadows, like in the mirror. Like now he was not in the mirror, but you see his silhouette hovering over the mirror. I thought that was awesome. I remember covering that. I remember, like every little piece of detail that I wanted to find, I reported on it, and it was so much fun. The hype, the fanfare, there was genuine excitement for this film. And I remember that I did an actual trailer first time reaction on Blitz Sports Network. Like they literally waited until the trailer dropped on a VIP video for me to react to it. Now, of course, Bruce and them kind of laughed, at me about it, but it was a big deal. I remember when that trailer dropped, it was a big deal, and everybody was happy with it. And it was one of the most anticipated films of that year, 2018. They're one of the most anticipated films of the year. And it was just a fun time, man, just seeing Halloween fans just being happy. Now, I went to the theater. Now I saw the midnight showing of the movie. Because luckily where I am, the movie theater is literally like 5 minutes away from my house. So I went to the midnight showing with a good friend of mine, Larry, and I saw it. And I cannot remember like the goosebumps I had. The very moment when you see the opening of all the different production studios that's associated with this film and the music that plays. I remember the goosebumps. Like I felt like, oh my God, it's really happening. It's really here, And I saw it. And I saw it again that weekend with my mom, and my sister. And at the time, I remember feeling like it was good. It was good. I walked away disappointed. Not saying the movie was bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying the movie was bad at all. I just remember walking away disappointed, like, wait, that's it? Like, that's it? Because if you remember how the movie ends, no pun intended, like that final shot of them trapping Michael in the basement, Michael like ominously looking up at us, right? And then Laurie throws the flare down to the basement. Goodbye, Michael. And then it's just slow motion. You see the flames and the fire surrounding Michael. Michael just standing there emotionally staring up at us. Very beautiful shot. And then you see Allison and Karen and Laurie, walking on the street, and they find this truck. We never found out who was driving that truck, by the way. And then you go back to the base and you see that he's gone. Like he disappeared from the flames. And then that very last shot, we see Karen, Laurie, Allison in the back of the truck. Allison with this very emotionless look on her face, with the knife panning in with the camera zooming in on the knife, and Halloween end credits. That's it. And at the time, I shit you not, folks, when that trailer. When those credits came on, I walked away feeling like that's it. Like there's got to be more to this. There's got to be more. It felt like there could have been 5 more minutes, because it didn't end with a punch. It didn't end with some sort of cliffhanger. It just ended. It's like your regular episode of Monday Night Raw, where you have your main event and that's it. no cliffhanger, nothing to want to make you want to tune into the next film. It's just like, well, there it is. I'm like, huh? Oh, ugh. And it was the ending, and for a lot of people, it was the Dr. Sartain twist. And I was very disappointed with that twist for a multitude of reasons. Not exactly because of his motivations. His motivations made sense to me for the most part, where he became so interested in Michael, became so intrigued by Michael that he wanted to take Michael out of isolation and wanted to observe Michael out in the wild, to study him, see what makes him tick, see why he does what he does, how he reacts to certain things. And I thought it was an interesting concept, interesting idea, actually. Because I didn't hate the Sartain character. Of course he was, they joke, was like, oh, you're the new Loomis. But he was the complete opposite of Loomis. Instead of him like trying to make Michael stay locked up, he wanted to see Michael out here killing motherfuckers. Like, because he wants to see how does he act the way he acts, what makes him go, pretty much. Like, the movie shit doesn't really start going down. The reason why the shit in Halloween 2018 and Kills and Ends happens is because of Sartain. At the end of the day, if you break it all down, it's because of Sartain. Because you can pretty much assume Sartain was the one who crashed the bus and all that stuff. But it was more so of the timing of when the swerve happens and how quickly it ends that kind of made people go, huh? What? Because at the end of the day, it comes off as David Gordon Green, Danny McBride couldn't really think of a way to get Michael to Laurie's house, so they railroaded and shoehorned Dr. Sartain's twist into the film. And when they finally figured out a way how to get Michael to Laurie's house, they killed him off. And I thought that was just lazy. I thought it was a completely lazy way to do it, because there's actually some avenues you could have taken with the Sartain character, with the whole, he's secretly crazy too, and he's kind of becoming a killer himself. Like, there are ways you could have went with that. And how they did it, when they did it, because I remember at the time I was watching the film, I thought the movie was going at a good pace. And then the very moment where Sartain attacks, I should say, Will Patton's character Hawkins, is when the movie just nosedive. Like, it feels like you're driving a car, right? You're driving a car, you're having a nice smooth drive, and somebody just slams on the goddamn brakes, and you have whiplash, and your neck hurts. It's like, what are we doing? Like, why'd you do that? Yeah, but the Sartain character definitely is the biggest skid mark on the movie for a lot of people. Some people liked it. Some people don't like it. I myself one of those that did not like it. Not because of the motivation, because I thought the motivation was very interesting. It was just how it was executed, how it was done, when it was done. It didn't feel properly built up. It felt like it just happened, and they didn't explore Sartain again. Like, after Halloween 2018, and they kind of mentioned him a little bit in Halloween Kills. He's never brought up again. So in the grand scheme of things, it makes you feel like, why'd you do that then? Why did you make us go through that? One, to kill him off as quickly as you did, and to never get back to him. And I think that's why a lot of people that are critics of the Halloween trilogy, David Gordon Green trilogy, that's why they say it feels like David Gordon had so many ideas that he tried to force feed in the 3 films. And just stick to one narrative. And then, of course, there were the creative choices that was made that I thought could have made the movie greater. Like I said at the time, I felt Halloween 2018 was a good modern slasher film for 2018. It wasn't a great Halloween film. I think I particularly said it's a good Halloween film that could have been great. It could have been, folks. Now, last time I watched the movie was, I want to say 6 months ago. And the way I feel then is still kind of how I feel now. Now, I know for some of you, it's been 5 years. Maybe maybe you've grown to love the film now that time has passed, or maybe you people that dislikes the film hates it even more now that time has passed. Myself, I feel that out of the 3 films that we got, Halloween 2018 is the best film overall. From a character standpoint, from a story standpoint, I thought 2018 was the best film overall from a narrative standpoint, compared to kills and ends and so on and so forth. But the creative decisions that was made that they could have made the movie even greater, there are lots of them. And the biggest thing for me is how they executed Michael in some scenes. Now, one of the positives, I will say, the biggest thing they got right was the presentation of Michael Myers. How James Jude Courtney portrayed him, shout out to James Jude Courtney. His portrayal of Michael Myers was fan-fucking-tastic. From the mannerisms, the idiosyncrasies, the body language, was all spot on. All spot on by Michael. I'm sorry, by James Jude Courtney. James Jude Courtney is probably going to go down as for some people, he is the best. He's the greatest Michael Myers of all time. To me, nobody can beat Nick Castle. But he's definitely the second best. I will gladly put James Jude Courtney as the second best Michael Myers that's ever graced, has ever stepped foot in this franchise. And I thank James Jude Courtney. He deserves the world and so forth after that. But some creative decisions I could have made him that could have made his performance even greater. Like, for instance, the scene when Michael gets his mask, the iconic scene when Michael gets his mask. For the first time in 40 years, he dons the mask. And it was done in daylight. Now, I get it. I get why you want to see the mask in its full glory, in its full view. I 100% get it. Now, think about this, folks. How much more impactful that scene would have been if, when Michael opens the trunk, looks at the mask, puts it on. In that very last shot, we see a shot of him looking down at us in the rear window. Imagine that scene done at night. At night, because you got to think about this, folks. This is supposed to be the same guy from Halloween 1978, just 40 years older now. And the last time we saw him was him get shot out the balcony. He's on the ground. Dr. Loomis looks down. He's gone. Who's at the boogeyman? Matter of fact, there was. We saw him at night. We see him again at night. You know what I mean? Like, when we see the shot of him look in the rear view window, like it could be like a street light or the moon. It's half lit, like that's the shape. That's the boogeyman, or that whole bathroom scene in general with, Dana and Aaron and Michael in that bathroom. Well, that was done at night. Where like it's dimly lit, it's grungy, or a light bulb it's flickering on and off. And then you can have that whole scene that was done, but done at night, maybe like with a flickering light bulb, which were going on and off. How much more effective that would have been. And of course, you have to like rewrite the script. to make it make sense, but you could easily do that. The closet scene, the closet scene, the closet scene when Vicky tries to close the closet, Michael, she opens the door, Michael's right there, like I'm like surprise, bitch, like that gimmick. What I would have done with that scene, and I said this before in the Primetime Gorehound, me and Paul doing a live commentary on the film, which is on this channel in the playlist. I said you could have had that same scene, but imagine if she opens the closet and the light doesn't work, and then you could have had that classic Michael Myers moment where it's dark in the closet, she can't see anything. She can't turn on the light. She turns her back. She looks at Julian, who's in the bed, and then she maybe asks Julian, like, do you have like an extra light bulb or something? Or like, I can't turn it on. And then right behind her, you see the mask slowly reappear from the shadows, out of the darkness. Then he goes for the attack. Or simple, she opens the closet door. It's dark. She turns the light on. Boom, there's Michael Myers. That could work. Like you gotta give that continuity that this is the same guy from Halloween 1978. Like when Laurie in the first film, when Laurie was like in the corner crying and you see Nick Castle coming out the shadows, or even in Halloween 2, when Janet see Dr. Mixture in the chair, she backs up and Dick Warlock's face comes out. Like we never had that moment. Again, not saying the scene I did was wrong, but in order to create that continuity, to create that connection that this is the same guy from 40 years ago, we got to make him do the same things that he was doing 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, And I just thought about this too. The scene with when Allison finds Oscar on the fence, and you get that beautiful Shape hunts Allison track, and when you hear that burp sound, when Michael comes out and he's at the fence, and then Allison runs off and does her best Jamie Lee Curtis impersonation from '78. That could have been a great chase scene. You could have given us a nice 3-minute chase scene with that music, how Michael was presented. It could have been so epic. And by the time you're really into it, the scene is over. Michael doesn't even try to chase her. It's like, what the fuck? Like, there's a great Halloween movie in there. But I just felt that sometimes David Gordon Green did not, he did not milk it. He did not milk it. But not saying that he didn't hit the check boxes. He did. But he could have stretched things out to make it even greater. That's the one thing that John Carpenter did in the '78 film that makes it so iconic. It was the way how he stretched things out, let things breathe, let things build. The suspense that was in '78, that was not in 2018. It wasn't scary. It wasn't suspenseful. There were moments, but there was not but it was very far in between. You didn't feel that sense of dread that you felt in Halloween 1978. You didn't feel that sense of dread, maybe because we're in a society where we're so desensitized to horror films now. We don't feel dread. Well, I don't know if I could believe that, because there's a lot of films out there now that a lot of younger moviegoers telling me that, they were scared to death watching this film. So I don't know, but you felt that dread, that tension all throughout Halloween 1978. You felt it from beginning to end. Here, it wasn't enough. Now, there were moments in the film where you felt that tension, where you felt that dread. Like the scene when, when that little boy wanted to go to dance class looking for his father, and all the inmates are on the road and they're all in silhouette. Or the scene when Laurie was looking for Michael in the house. There were moments there, but not enough. And that's why I feel like David Gordon Green, sometimes it felt like he kind of rushed some things. Like he could have let things breathe, But not going to say that David Gordon Green didn't drop the ball in this film. It became the highest grossing horror movie film of all time. It started out so good. It started out so good because the Halloween fan base was genuinely happy with this film. They were happy with this film. All this movie needed to be was good. That had to be was just good, because we haven't had Halloween films since, once again, since 2009 Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Everybody shitted on that film. So the bar was low. It was low. All you had to do was just be acceptable, and fans will be happy for it. And for the most part, they were. And for the most part, the fans were happy with was, of course, Michael Myers, the presentation of Michael. Michael became a threat again. And of course, the mask. The mask was awesome. Very awesome. You felt like it was the same mask from 1978, just a little bit more weathered, a little bit more. It's 40 years old. I can say it's probably the best mask since maybe Rob Zombie's Halloween. No, I'm not gonna go that far. Maybe since Halloween 2's mask. I haven't done a mask ranking ever. I really gotta think about this, but it's definitely one of the best masks in the franchise for sure. Christopher Nelson did a fantastic job on the mask in all three films, from 18 to Kills to Ends. Christopher Nelson did a fantastic job. So you had the biggest things that they got right was, of course, Michael Myers, the mask, and of course I gotta give credit to the soundtrack. That John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and there was a third person, Daniel Davies, I believe that's what his name was. John Carpenter, and I believe it was Daniel Davies. Somebody in the chat here can help me out with that. But the soundtrack was very good. Very good. Classic John Carpenter. Probably the most moody and most atmospheric of a soundtrack for a Halloween film that we got in a very long time. I'm not no disrespect to Alan Harworth, who was kind of John Carpenter's right hand man that took over the scoring responsibilities for Halloween 4, 5, and 6. But John Carpenter's score for these Halloween films, both 1 and 2, are just iconic. The Shapes Hunts Allison, like I said, great track. So many great tracks. You can listen to that soundtrack by itself and you'll love it. Like all three films, the soundtrack has been amazing. Some of the best scores in Halloween history. Michael Myers had the mask, the soundtrack, the setting I thought was decent. It didn't feel like it was summer watching a Halloween film or watching the Halloween movies. These recent movies, I thought it was fine. So there were definitely some positives that they hit, like that they check all the boxes for. Definitely for sure. Like I said, I haven't watched the film in about 6 months, and when I last saw it, a lot of things that I felt back then, I still feel the same now. I definitely appreciate it a lot more, considering what we got with Kills and with Ends. I definitely appreciate the film a whole lot more now. I think when I reviewed the film, which is on the Primetime Podcast channel, just look up Primetime Podcast or James Tim's Halloween review. I did a whole review on it. I think at the time I gave it a 7, and I still feel that way. I believe 7 is fair. I believe 7 is a fair number. concerning all the hype, all the expectations, and the pressure and the weight that this movie had when it came out. I believe coming out with a 7 was fair. Was fair. And I will say that Halloween 2018, a lot of people say it's the best Halloween film since Halloween H2O, which that is another film, but a lot of the fan base has kind of turned their backs on, which again, 10, 15 years ago, everybody loved Halloween H2O. Now people are shitting on that as well. But it's funny how when celebrities tell you not to like certain projects, you don't like them anymore. But anyway, you could say it's the best Halloween film since Halloween H2O. Honestly, you could honestly say Halloween 2018 is the best Halloween film since Halloween 4. Halloween 4 came out in 1988, like 30 years. 30 years before. So that kind of tells you how inconsistent Halloween movies are. Now, of course, Halloween 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, they have their fans. Of course, they have their fans. Of course. But if we're talking about the best Halloween films, a lot of people are going to say 1, 2, H2O, and 2018. If you ask the general Halloween fan, those are going to be the 4 best films of the franchise. And you could really say that you can make a case that it's the best film since Halloween 4, 1988. You can make that legit case when you really think about it. But yeah, man, it's been a fun ride. Frustrating, confusing, but it's been a hell of a ride. Half a decade now. 5 more years. In 2028, it's going to be 10 years, y'all. 10 years since Halloween 2018. Time flies when you're having fun. Jesus, God almighty, man. But yeah, I mean, from the announcement to the movie to after the film, it's been a hell of a ride, man, and it's been great to see. I've met so many cool Halloween fans since Halloween 2018. So many cool people since I've kind of like focused on doing the Halloween film, talking about it on a consistent basis. It's been great. It's been great. Now, what do they do now that Miramax now owns the rights? That remains to be seen. Of course, there's talk of a TV series. I don't want to see it, but Danielle Harris once again is pitching to come back. I say we don't see another Halloween film for like another maybe 4 or 5 years. Because again, what made Halloween 2018 so special was because at that point, it's been away for almost 10 years at that point. Like that classic phrase, how can we miss you if you don't go away? I think right now Halloween needs to die for right now. Let these new projects, let these new young lions take hold of the throne for a little bit. But we'll see. We'll definitely see what's in store for Halloween franchise for now. But in terms of the 5-year anniversary of Halloween 2018, it's still a good Halloween film. Doesn't piss me off. I will say I would gladly watch it every October for sure. I can watch this film and not be embarrassed. That's for sure. But I'm glad this movie exists, and it's been fun. It's definitely been fun. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on Halloween 2018. 5 years. Were you one of those people that dislike the film, but maybe you've grown to like it or appreciate it, or have you grown to really hate the film in 5 years, or did you love the film? Did you love the movie, or Did you love the movie, or are you like, man, whatever on it? Let me know your guys' thoughts. Hit that like and subscribe button. And I will talk to y'all later. Everyone have a good night. Peace.